Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home. Welcome everybody to the Heal Your Hunger Show. So happy to have you here. It is a great day to be alive, and I'm super excited to talk to you about something that will probably ring true for you if you are somebody who listens to lots of podcasts and does lots of research and probably reads a lot of books. So if you're in any one of those categories or all of the above, stay tuned. And if you're here for the first time, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. This is the show where we talk about real stuff, real issues, real feelings, patterns, untrue beliefs, old wounds, things that just got us in the hole with food. That's the rabbit hole. Falling way down the rabbit hole with food and binge eating and overeating and all kinds of shenanigans around diets. And if you're so tired of that, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Hopefully you will feel at home here. And please, speaking of being at home, join us in the Secret Sauce group. That's the Secret Sauce to End Emotional Eating on Facebook. It's a great place to start your journey of overcoming emotional eating in the Heal Your Hunger way. So yeah, hop over to Facebook and join us there. If you're not on Facebook and you're like, I'm not doing Facebook, definitely at least go to the website healyourhunger.com and take the quiz. Start with the quiz, which is the quiz which will tell you your personalized score of whether you're an emotional eater or a food addict or somewhere in between. That's a great place to start your journey. You'll get a personalized score and then some recommendations on what you can do to begin healing. And lastly, if you haven't listened to my TEDx talk, please check it out on YouTube, Tricia Nelson Emotional Eating, Tricia Nelson TEDx, something like that. And that's a great place to start as well, although I have it on my website, so you can check it out there. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about today is, like I mentioned, podcast, books, courses, research, doing all kinds of things around gathering information to help yourself. Now, if you're on a search to get to the bottom of your food stuff, your aberrant relationship with food, congratulations. I'm glad you're seeking. I'm glad you're searching. That's so important because guess what? You're not going to heal. Like healing isn't going to knock you upside the head. It doesn't just happen. You have to be intentional. You have to want it. You have to go looking for it. And my experience of emotional eaters is we're seekers. We're seekers not only of information, but also of a deeper message. And I think the women who come to the Heal Your Hunger show are drawn here energetically by that craving for a deeper message, for depth, because that's where I go and that's what I craved. It was not food I was truly craving. It was not sugar and carbs, although I liked those and there's plenty of reasons to like them. My deeper craving, my deeper hunger was for connection, for depth, for real, and for real conversation about stuff that mattered to me in my heart. I was always so bored when I went to a party and there was so much small talk. I hate small talk. It's so boring. I mean, I like to joke and have fun with people, but that really, that goes only so far with me. I crave connection at the heart level. I crave depth. And if I just live in superficiality, I'm hungry. I'm hungry. And you may be that way too, but it's not food we're hungry for, right? We're starving for that deeper message about our emotions, about love, about the things that really matter in our heart, those very quiet whispers in our heart. Nevertheless, we go looking for what we crave. We go looking for answers in anywhere we can find them, right? First, it's through diets and exercise solutions. Then when those don't pan out or we don't reach our goals, we go deeper. We read books on psychology. We might go to therapy. We might join a 12-step program to deal with maybe spiritual issues and some kind of emotional work. We go to all kinds of courses. We read the science behind our bodies and metabolism and intermittent fasting, and we're searching, right? We're searching for answers. So we tend to fill our minds with information. Okay, we fill our minds with information. Information makes us feel like we're making progress. It makes us feel like we're getting answers. Reading science makes us feel like we're really serious about this and getting to the bottom of things. But then when we keep struggling with our weight, when we keep overeating, when we keep feeling defeated and demoralized by our yo-yoing, with weight and food, when we keep breaking out in a binge after a couple weeks of doing good, we wonder what the hell, like what the hell is going on? And my experience is that information won't solve your problem. And especially information binging. So we tend to be bingers on information, tons of podcasts, tons of science, tons of books. And while all those things are important and they might give you pieces of the puzzle, help you understand your body better, might help you understand metabolism and how it works. First of all, you might have noticed there's lots of contradictory information out there. But beyond that, stuffing our brains with information doesn't translate into stuffing our tummies with food. Have you noticed, no matter how much you know, you might have even gone as far as to become a health coach or become certified in some kind of health modality or healing modality, and yet you still, in the middle of the night, or are eating ice cream and cookies. You still have gnawing cravings that you cannot say no to. And if that's the case, I'm here to say, be kind to yourself, be sweet to yourself. Information won't get you where you need to go if you're an emotional eater. Okay, so if you're an emotional eater, none of those things, no matter how much you know, no matter how many certifications you have, they will not stop that gnawing compulsion inside of you, in your belly, that thing that just grows and grows and demands attention and feeding, even though you're full, even though you've had a healthy meal, even though you know better. Okay, so if you have that monster inside of you that won't quit, don't beat yourself up when you answer it, when you feed it. That gnawing inside of you, no amount of information or knowledge will make it go away, in my experience. What we need is we need to get to the bottom of it. And that's really, in my experience, what helped me heal. It's what helped me overcome my lifelong addiction to food, was to dismantle that compulsion, to destroy that monster, or put him to bed. And the way we do that is by dealing with the underlying causes. Now, what does that mean? That's kind of a throwaway word. Lots of people mention it, but it consists of a lot of things, of course, but in general, it's a pressure that builds inside of us. It's a pressure that builds inside of us. And what creates that pressure is stress. And what creates that stress is buried emotions, too much on our plate, resentment, fast movement, like being in constant motion, not enough sleep, not enough nutrients, lack of connection at the heart level. These are all things that contribute to that growing monster inside of you. Okay, that spring that gets tighter and tighter in your gut. That spring I would fall down every time. I would self-sabotage on account of that growing spring in my gut that got stronger and stronger, as I starved it And as I was dieting, especially when I would diet, at first, if you watch my TED Talk, I kind of act this out, but you're like, woohoo, new diet syndrome, feeling great. But after a while, that high of being on a new diet, a new plan, doing it, you get a sense of bravado and control, and it's working, you're riding the wave for a while, but then it dies down and you aren't excited anymore. You're not excited, you're not feeling on top of the world, it's drudgery. That's when I would binge, is when I would be like, everything would grow dull, and that knot in my gut, that tension, that spring would get so tight that I had to feed it. Okay, that's the monster I'm referring to. There's lots of ways to describe it, but you know what I'm talking about, right? So we have to dismantle that. We have to calm that monster and that spring, sort of take the energy, that the tightness out of that spring. In my experience, that's done through self-care, through lowering the stress. We have to diminish stress in our lives. And you may say, well, like, I can't do that. Like, my mom is sick, my kids need to be fed, I have to work, my husband is working all the time, he can't help out with meals, whatever. We all have stress. I get that. But the good news is a lot of our stress is self-created. Okay. And if you've read my book, Heal Your Hunger, you know about the anatomy of the emotional eater, which are many personality traits that we have that have nothing to do with food, but everything to do with why we eat. And my experience is that a lot of our stress is self-created, which I find to be fantastic news. Okay. The good news about that is if we're creating it, we're not victims. Okay. I mean, we can't do anything about an ailing parent or, the kids needing food and clothes. Okay. That's got to happen day in and day out. We have to take care of business, but how we go about taking care of business is something we can do something about. So if we're people pleasers, if we are perfectionists, and we've got all this pressure that we're putting on ourselves to do it right, to do it perfectly, to get other people to notice, so we get the atta girls. If we're putting that kind of pressure on ourselves, that adds to that tight spring in our gut. Okay. And you got to let up. You've got to let up on yourself. Okay. And I know that so much of this is involuntary because it's the way you think. All right. I know as emotional eaters, we have racing minds. We overthink everything, right? We're always thinking, our minds are going all the time. And a lot of our eating is on account of needing to shut down our minds, needing to escape our brains. Okay. But there are things you can do to de-stress. First of all, you got to look at the people pleasing. You got to look at the caretaking. Where can you delegate? Where can you ask for help? Ooh, that's not an easy thing for emotional eaters to do. So where can you start, locking arms with other people so you're not doing it all yourself? I know there's an ego hit from trying to be superwoman. I know that. Okay. I'm going to call you out. If you just love it when people say, oh, I don't know how you do it. Or oh, that Tricia, she just gets the job done. She's so productive, and isn't she amazing? Oh, I love to hear those things. If you're one of the people who lives off of those little bites of ego hit, okay, those little spurts of ego, that come through when people compliment you, take a look. Is it paying off? Okay. When people think we're wonderful, it feels good, but my experience, it doesn't last long. Okay. Because then we got to keep it up. We've just created an impression that we're wonderful. We better keep it up. Don't disappoint. We now have a reputation to live up to. It's a lot of pressure. And that's pressure we put on ourselves. I always tell my clients, if you have a new job, don't go into it overworking. Don't stay at the office, extra hours every day, proving what a fabulous hire you are, because guess what? You're setting a precedent you're going to have to live up to. And anything less than Wonder Woman, this fabulous new hire that we have, anything less than that precedent that you've just set for yourself, that expectation everybody now has of you, anything less is you falling down on the job. So there you go. You've just created a high bar of stress for yourself based on wanting people to think you're fabulous and a fear that people might think you're not. Do you see how so much of this comes from our own minds and our own doing? So much stress is self-created. And it's based, I mean, we come by it honestly, okay? It's based on not having a strong self-concept to begin with. I grew up with low self-esteem, and it was those atta girls. It was, shining, making people notice me that fed me. All right, fed my ego, but somehow I was trying to construct a sense of myself from other people's impression of me. It's just exhausting. It's exhausting. And when we do that, when we live that way, we have to end up overeating because we're stressed. We don't have time for self-care. We have turmoil inside of us, okay, because we haven't tended to our emotional health and well-being. And we're just constantly eating to keep up. So addressing our stress by not overdoing, by maybe delegating, stepping back a bit, asking for help. These things can help diminish our stress, but we have to add self-care. If we're not going to overeat, if we're not going to use food all throughout the day to keep us going because we're lacking energy, we got to look at our sleep. Right? We got to start getting better sleep. In order to cope with life, if we don't have food, we got to find new coping tools like meditation, prayer, reaching out to friends, whatever it takes to be able to feel supported and also to offload stress on a daily basis. I had a situation yesterday where I was super triggered and angry. And I'm happy to say I'm somebody who doesn't get angry very often anymore. So, I mean, not even secretly. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I am a person that I really like now because I don't have this seething cauldron of turmoil in my gut, because I'm living honestly and I am who I say I am. I'm not overdoing. I'm not putting on a facade. I'm not trying to get people to like me. So that all results in I'm just pretty happy. So who you hear on my podcast it's pretty accurate. I'm not putting it on. I'm generally a happy person. I didn't used to be. I used to have a lot of stress and a lot of tension, a lot of conflicting emotions. Sure, I had a smile on my face, but I was on the inside. But that's not how I am anymore, generally speaking. But yesterday I was triggered and I got angry. I felt angry. I felt wronged. And I wrote about it. I ranted a bit to my boyfriend, for a little bit, but then I thought this isn't enough. Like, he can't take this away from me. I got to write it out. So I took it to the paper. My clients do this all the time. I opened up my computer, opened up a Word doc, and boom, boom, boom. Just wrote it out, got it out of me, got those toxic emotions out of me. So I'm still doing it. I'm on this path myself. I'm taking the steps. I recommend others to be emotionally healthy, because if I don't get it out of me, I'm going to stuff it down with food. I'm not cured. Remember that monster? I said, we got to kill it. And I said, well, maybe just put it to sleep. Well, it can come back. It can wake up. There's no question in my mind. And so this is a day at a time process of healing. We do it one day at a time. It's not a one and done. We don't get cured and then skip along in our merry way. We have to maintain this freedom one day at a time through action, through self-care, through addressing feelings when they come up, addressing them in a healthy way so we don't have to stuff them with food. So back to binging on information. I hope you're getting that information alone won't cure us, won't stop us from the eating. We have to heal, we have to quiet that monster. We got to put that monster to sleep. Keep that monster tamed. And we do that by addressing our stress, addressing our emotions, keeping up with emotional health, and healthy ways of coping with stress that we can't do anything about, but also changing ourselves so we live differently. I often say it's not an eating problem, it's a living problem. Okay, it's a living problem. So, what I want for you and what I wish for you is that you go deeper, whatever that takes. Okay, and whoever you do that with, whoever you get coached by, whatever program you join, make sure it's a program that will take you deeper on that road of healing at a deeper level. Of course, I invite you to reach out and have maybe register for a breakthrough session. We offer complimentary breakthrough sessions on my website, healyourhunger.com. But if it's not me you resonate with, that's okay. Find somebody you resonate with, but who's talking the real talk, who's getting real, who's dealing with the real issues. My experience is it's not about food and weight. This is not a food problem, it's a living problem. That's what you need to do, is start changing your life and the way you show up in life. As emotional eaters, we love quick fixes. We always are hoping that it's, at the symptom level that we're going to heal. I'm going to find the right diet with the right science, the right book with the right information. I mean, my book is great, but it probably, if you're an emotional eater, you're probably going to need more than just a book. You're going to need community. You're going to need coaching. So whatever that is for you, I encourage you to go beyond the information stuffing, and find an action plan where you can start making real changes in your life, because that's what it's going to take. Remember, this is a problem that goes deep, and it's usually a problem we've had for decades. If you've been struggling chronically with food and weight for decades, it's not going to be just a one note solution. It's not going to be a one-sided solution. It's going to take some layers. Okay, some layers of healing, and many different actions, to really get there, underneath it and heal. But boy, is it worth it. It's worth it. Let food be your teacher. Look beyond food and weight. My experience is overweight comes from overeating, and overeating comes from what's eating us. So that's where we should go to heal. So I hope this resonates. I love you so much. I'm grateful for your attention. Please share this show with others who you think might be struggling and be looking for something fresh and different, as a solution, as a part of the conversation. And definitely join us in the Secret Sauce group, and online at our website. So I appreciate you, and I'm just excited for your journey and what you might do to take action to heal. You are worth every bit of action you take, and action in the right place, in the right direction. Thanks so much. I love you. See you on the next show.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.